Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Let's start our video with a story in which our OP was unsatisfied with the behavior of management and solved the problems with the help of his Mazda Miata. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. You didn't say I couldn't use a Miata. Here's a short tale from working at the Big Brown Delivery Company. I'm a part-time supervisor inside a large sorting facility. This is a simple act of compliance that may not have had lasting consequences, but it brought a smile to my face in a difficult time. Obviously, 2020 was a rough year for nearly any profession. At the time of the story in the spring, my state and a few neighboring states had imposed stay-at-home orders and closed non-essential businesses, leading to way more people buying things online. For the holiday season, we plan well ahead and hire an extra 50% of not normal staffing. And it's still a crap show trying to get packages through the facility without falling behind. Now, imagine a volume increase of over 100% without hiring all those extra workers, while losing the staffing we did have due to people getting sick or not having childcare with schools closed. Rather than trying to solve issues in the building by changing policy or trying out new ideas, upper management likes to throw part-time supervisors at problems instead of dealing with them themselves. Most often, we're told that we have to stay for the next shift to help get more volume pushed through. Keeping a safe space between workers is impossible in my work area, so I never stayed to help very long because I value not getting sick over getting a bigger paycheck. In May, all part-time supervisors on my shift were told we had to come in on our weekend, either working a different shift on Friday or coming in Saturday to deliver packages from our personal vehicles. As soon as we were given the choice, I knew what my compliance would be. My daily driver is a hatchback that I often keep full of various recreation equipment and didn't feel like cleaning out for a day of work, so I hopped in my other, cleaner, and more empty car and drove to a facility I'd never been to before, then headed out to meet a driver so I could take packages from him. He was expecting to meet another package car, what we call the brown delivery trucks. He nearly fell out of his truck laughing when I waved him over to my car, a 1994 Miata. I met him twice and only fit 12 or so packages in the car each time. When I called him for a third meetup, he said he'd talked to his boss, who told him not to give me anything else to deliver because it was not worth the time he spent trying to find packages that would fit in the car. I was happy enough. The few people I interacted with that day got a kick out of my compliance. I followed my instructions and got paid at my overtime rate plus mileage to drive my Miata around a nice seaside town on a sunny Saturday afternoon. I'm sure I was not the reason for the update, but they now specify that personal vehicle delivery drivers must have a vehicle with a fixed roof. I now have a hardtop I can permanently bolt on, so I'm curious if I'd be able to do this again. And our second story. You should be fired for being new. A couple of years ago, I believe August of 2017, I'd been working at a diner as a busser and host. Keep in mind I was 16 and homeschooled, which means I got all the good hours and got to stay until 2 a.m. sometimes. It was a 24/7 restaurant. Now, I'm a very hard worker and like to make a good example for myself, but some people are just lazy. And one more thing to shoehorn in, it was a very popular diner, and we were most popular for our homemade shakes and whipped cream. So it was a prime spot for high school students on Friday and Saturday nights as well as after dances. But we weren't a huge restaurant, and I believe the biggest party we've gotten was about 100 people. But parties of 18 to 20 are still a hassle. Anyways, it was my second month there, and my boss was having me learn to host more because I'd mainly bust, which meant I wasn't that great up front on the register, but I still tried nonetheless. So here's the story. One Saturday night, we'd been particularly busy, and it was getting kinda chaotic. My co-host, the second host of the evening, was a very lazy girl who found every excuse to not help out. At about 11 p.m., a group of around 16 to 18 people had come in for a seat. Now, the mom instantly had the "let me speak to your manager" look, and it kinda scared me since she reminded me of my stepmom. She also wasn't the thinnest of people, and neither were most of the people in her party. We'd already been pretty busy, but things were winding down and we got them seated within 10 minutes. Not bad considering, and I didn't watch them after that, but I do know they ordered a lot of food, because I later had to clean the mess. God. Anyways, at around 12:30, I was trying to help some people out, and once the front was clear, I told my co-host that I needed to go to the bathroom. I asked her to stay up front, and she said, sure, great. So I went to the bathroom. I try to be as quick as possible. I was gone maybe 5 minutes at most. I leave the bathroom, putting my apron back on, and there has to be at least 35 people out front. My host is nowhere to be found. Later, she told me she got bored and was on her phone in the back. Pissed me off. So I run walk in that awkward fashion hosts usually do. I get myself up front and ask if I can help who's first. This large, black hair in a ponytail, glasses, and scrunched face EM whips out this 2-foot-long receipt and says in the most horrid voice ever, "Me, I was first. I've been waiting for you to stop wasting time while my children beg me to go home." Her children were sitting behind her playing with toys they got from the dispensary thing, so I reply as calmly as I can, all right. And she cuts me off while pointing at several different items on the paper. I need changed. We didn't like this. This was wrong. I didn't ask for this, and so on. Now, I again was fairly new to the front and didn't know how to do that. So I see their waitress passing by, so I flag her down and ask her for help. Side note, there are 2 registers up front, but apparently this was the wrong thing to do. EM starts getting pissed off and shouts, "Oh no, you're the cashier. It's your job to do this for me. If you're too incompetent to do your own job, then someone needs to fire you. You're just a lazy teenager trying to get out of helping a loyal customer." Now, I'm a little shaken up, and so is the waitress. I try to reply, "I'm sorry, ma'am, to which she cuts me off yet again. "No, you need to be fired and made sure you never work for a fine place like this so you can stop wasting everyone's time." And for me, I was thoroughly shaking. My stepmom yelled at me a lot like this as a kid, and she looked similar, so I was basically having a major panic attack. Keep in mind that there were still the 30-plus people watching this happen. She then asked to see my manager, and the waitress gets him. All the while, EM is giving me the "you're screwed" look, and I didn't know how to act. My manager hurried over, and I never really got along with this guy, but he's had my back a couple of times and overall just wanted to help. When he gets over, he asks, "What's wrong?" only to be cut off once again by EM. "Yes, your employee here is harassing me and my family and keeping us trapped here while he refuses to do the work you pay him to do." Meanwhile, I'm basically in tears, and my manager can see it when he glances at me. He tells her he'll take care of it, and I move to the second register to help the other guests. The end. I wish. She couldn't just let it be and had to throw in, "Oh sure, help everyone else even though I was here first. I can't believe they'd hire such a poor excuse for an employee." I'm still shaken up by it at this point, and people are looking anxious, but no one says anything. Everything gets fixed for her and she leaves, but not before spitting on me and saying she never is returning to the diner again. After it, I got a couple hugs and people apologized to me, and it was very sweet to see that many people sympathizing. My boss let me take an extra break, and I stopped shaking after about half an hour. Little bonus, my co-host was fired that day. And our last story. Karen threatens to tow the disabled person's car. When I, about 19-year-old male at the time, was working a second job at a fast food restaurant, I saw a line of people waiting outside as it was a busy day. I saw a pregnant lady, EM, arguing through the window, so I just knew she wanted to call the manager at the next door McDonald's and got kicked. After a while, she came up to me with a smug face asking me to call the manager and that the service is terrible. I asked her what she meant by it, and this is how it went. EM, "As you can see, I'm pregnant, and there was such a huge line outside," she says, rolling her eyes. Me, "So what's the matter?" EM, "Oh my God, can't you see? I'm pregnant, and I have to wait in such a huge line. And this guy would not let me go in front of him. He's so selfish." She says that so loud that there was dead silence in the restaurant, not one mouth. Me, "But if he was in line first, it's completely his wish." Little more backstory, the EM was one of the last in line and was asking each person in front of EM to let EM go in front of them. This was the only one to realize what's happening and stops her. EM, "I need you to go talk to him and get him arrested for disrespect and abuse." I was just thinking to myself, holy F, what did I just get myself into? Me. I can't just do that since there's still so many people in line. EM. This situation is way more important than them getting their food. I was about to go off saying, are you hearing yourself right now? But I just stopped myself in time. I decided to sort the situation thinking it would just take a minute because if I didn't, I would be arguing here for a very long time. I go to Paul, the person who didn't let her go ahead in line. Me. Excuse me, sorry to disturb you, but this woman is accusing you of abusing her. Paul. What? That lady is out of her mind. Me. So what exactly happened? Paul. So I was standing in line and overheard EM asking one and another person to go in front of her. And I stopped her as she was about to ask me. She straight up smacked me in the face and started saying stuff like, you're so selfish and you deserve to go to hell. If not die later, die soon, you effing jerk. Me. Oh wow, did you actually abuse her or anything of that sort? Paul. No, I just told her to F off since she started to use language. Then she told us that her husband works as a tow truck driver and that he would take our cars away and we'd have to walk home. After that, we went to see what the CCTV camera had caught, and guess what? I bet you didn't guess it. Paul was telling the truth. The moment we went back, she was arguing with a disabled person, and she literally shoved him and ran outside the restaurant as if she were to be in a marathon against Usain Bolt. Paul witnessed what happened, and apparently Dave, disabled person, was siding with Paul on this one, and Entitled Mother was fuming, and then what I mentioned above happened. That was probably a roller coaster of a ride, but this actually happened, and to this day, I can't believe people like this exist. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.